You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
It's time to get inside the Giants Huddle.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
On Giants.com.
I like it, I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's roll.
Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle Podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. It's time for our Baldy breakdown edition of the Giants Huddle Podcast. Joining us is Brian Baldinger from NFL Network. Baldy, I'm going to just throw it to you like this.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see a game where a team wins because of contributions from all three phases. It was a true example of complementary football.
It was, and, all the way to the final minute, when Isaiah Simmons blocks the field goal and, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, takes it back to a house call and really kind of finishes the game out. It did take all 53, John. In fact, I made that note when I was watching it because it was truly everybody was plugged in. And it's hard. That's a hard place to play. Everybody knows that. It's a long trip, but it's loud. It's all that. I thought it was a complete game.
Yeah, and let's start there. To go to that building and not have one procedural penalty, I think, you have a veteran offensive line. I think that showed working the silent count. You saw how many times going through the tape, Baldy, does Daniel give the, double fist on the helmet, which I'm sure is the kill is your silent count version of kill. And just a really nice job in terms of the operation, making sure everything was in sync offensively. Not one wasted timeout on offense either.
No, that's a credit. That's coaching. That's good coaching. And that's good communication. I mean, even you're seeing, Tyrone obviously got a great chance to play. But, he's standing behind Daniel Jones for some of those kills. And he's transferring the signal. Everybody's getting it. Everybody does it. But you mentioned the offensive line. They have to get an awful lot of the credit because it was a complete game. They played extremely well. You could see them gelling. You don't see breakdowns. You don't see mistakes. You don't see guys getting beat. Runyon, Van Roten, Illuminar, the whole group. Playing very, very good football.
Yeah, and the pass protection had been coming along. They had done well a couple weeks with that. But, boy, the run blocking in this game, Baldy, they went to more of a power scheme, a lot of duo in this game where you hand the ball to the back, he can pick his hole and go.
It really was. Whether it was power with John Runyon pulling or whether it was a quarterback, counter trade with Daniel Jones following Runyon and Andrew Thomas, it was a real mix. And I thought they got good movement at the point. I thought, the inside zones, John, where, when Tyrone busted that first one for 37, I think it was 37 yards. That was a great job of him pressing the hole and getting both linebackers to bite.
Yep.
But I thought both double teams of Illuminar and Van Roten and John Michael Schmitz and John Runyon, they were foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder, and getting real movement, John. And so no penetration. Andrew does his job on the outside, and it allows Tyrone to really pop that thing out to the left.
And that's against Jonathan Hankins and Leonard Williams, two good veteran defensive tackles.
Well, guys, pretty good, they've been in your building. Yes, and really, Leonard's been playing almost as good as anybody inside. He did miss one game, but he's been playing really good football for Seattle. And for them to stay like that and not allow any penetration on some of those inside zones, it's a credit that this run game it's starting to come along. It's starting to come along. And when you can do that, a lot of other things open up.
And we've talked about what a nice job Devin Singletary has done, but a coming out party for Tyrone Tracy, the rookie. And, Baldy, we saw this in camp. He was excellent in camp, but, you're not tackling in camp. It's not the same in the run game, right? You got to see it in games. And boy, I thought he was decisive. He was a one-cut go guy. A lot of burst, ran away from a linebacker on that 27-yard run to the outside. He checked a whole lot of boxes with his performance.
No question. And, he sees daylight. I said on one of the breakdowns, John, today, that really offensive linemen, they block sometimes and they take the defense wherever they want to take them. Sometimes they're trying to set the edge and they're not letting them get outside. It's tough for Andrew Thomas for a wide end to hook them. Or you just take these guys and let the back decide. Let the back decide where the daylight is. And I thought Tyrone really did a great job of finding the daylight on his own without stuttering, without, slowing down. He averaged 7.2 yards a carry. That's legit. He had a lot of 7-yard carries, plus the explosive 27, 25-yard runs. I know what people said about him, coming out of college, converted receiver, all that stuff. Until you do it, it's all just, he's got the potential. That's all that is. But to do it against a pretty good front, that's saying something.
And he ran with power, too. He said after the game, and Paul Dottino, our colleague, was talking to him post-game. He said, look, one thing I wanted to prove coming into the pros is that as a converted wide receiver, I can run inside zone. I'm not just a perimeter runner. And boy, when he ran into some linebackers, he dropped his shoulder and he was constantly falling forward, which I think is huge for a guy like that.
No doubt. He finished his runs. You see him put his bucket right into the belly of Julian Love, who we have a lot of respect for as a player. Yeah. But he's getting extra yards after contact right now. And, he's got that burst. He's got that burst you need. The line can only do so much on the power play where John Runyon, pulls and they open up a hole and he goes 25 yards to the right. There's a hole there. The receivers did a good job. Wandale and Isaiah did a good job of kind of sealing their guys. But he saw it and he hit it and he split it and he was gone. And that's what you hope, a guy, at that position can do.
And by the way, one more thing on the running backs, but before I get there, I thought on a couple of those plays, they had some really good blocking downfield by receivers on the screens early in the game. Wanda Robinson had a good block. Jalen Hyatt had a nice block on that first screen pass. This was a team effort blocking in the run game and even in the screen game too.
Well, when you get the explosive, whether it's a screen or run, you get the explosive 20 yards or more. Generally, you're getting some assistance from your wide receivers down the field. These guys, some guys are a little bit more aggressive in the secondary tackling, but they did that. The other thing I got to point out is I thought Tyrone was excellent in blitz pickup. He had 2 occasions where, and the key, though, is Daniel Jones trusted him. That's a rookie there. All rookies get tested in protection. On 2 occasions, he stuck his head right in there. He did exactly what he's got to do. He stoned the blitzer coming, and Daniel Jones trusted it.
Yeah, one was Jerome Baker right in that B gap, had a full head of steam too. He got low on him and almost lifted him off the ground when he kind of blocked him. He got his shoulder pads right in the guy's midsection. Really nice block. So how do they handle these things, Baldy, now moving forward? Devin Singletary's did a nice job. He's a good player. You're going to want to still give him carries. But, I got to imagine Tyrone Tracy earned himself at least 10 touches a game here moving forward, no?
Well, I think, they now know that they have a real 1-2 punch. Now, however you want to split it up, John, they've got 2. They got 2 guys that can do it. Devin's done it for a long time, and he's had a good season thus far. He's been pretty healthy. He really hasn't missed many games throughout his career. One of the reasons why he's here. But nothing like fresh legs, young legs. Those guys, that's why you see rookies come in. Damian Pierce a couple years ago. You see these Tyler Algier came in. Not really where you're drafted. It's just they're young. They've got the vision necessary. And then they've just got that, they haven't had a lot of hits. They haven't been banged a lot. They bounce off these tackles pretty good. I got to believe that right now it might be 50-50 split. But who knows? If Tyrone keeps running like that with that type of power and the way that he fit with the line, because it's always a dance with the line, the way that he fit with it, you might have RB number 1 or 1 and 1A, something like that at this point.
Yeah, look at the Chiefs, right? They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. Isaiah Pacheco shows up as a day 3 pick. Doesn't matter. If you play, you play. And look, they're going to have a role for Singletary, but I'm with you. I think Tyrone Tracy has to be involved, especially in a game where Baldy, the Giants, had their best offensive performance of the year, 420 yards.
Yep.
How'd they do that without Malik Neighbors in the pass game? Tell me.
Well, they got some deep shots. They hit the go route to Darius Slayton, okay? And, it was a perfect throw by Daniel. Perfect throw. They couldn't do that against Dallas, even with Malay. They missed the deep shots. They got the deep shot there, and then 90 seconds later, they hit the deep over to Slate. They got the deep balls in, and the screen game was good. They got some explosive plays out of the screen game. But I thought, Daniel Jones had protection. And if there's one thing he had to work on after that loss to Dallas was you got to convert those. You got to flip the field position. That's a 40-something yard gain to Slayton, flips the field position. Everybody feels like you can score. Then you hit the deep over. Like they hit those two shots. That was a big part of the success, a big part of 420 yards.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Are you a morning person? Or when you roll out of bed, do you literally roll out of bed? Listen, mornings can be hard to handle. From the moment you open your eyes, your responsibilities and to-dos start piling up in your head. But you know what helps? Yep, a shower. But not just any shower, a shower with Irish Spring. Yeah, as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better.
Oh, yeah.
All those to-dos are totally doable. Because that crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from that glorious shower, 37 minutes later, because let's be honest, you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want. You're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Look for Irish Spring in the soap aisle at Walmart.
The Giants Huddle podcast is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. From game day celebrations to your everyday financial needs, Big Blue fans can get the most out of every moment with Citizens. Learn more at citizensbank.com/Giants. Yeah, they were 2 for 3 on those downfield shots. The only one they didn't complete, they had that little stop and go in the red zone to Slayton, I believe, on the left sideline, where it was a tight window and he threw it out of bounds. That's fine. But you're right, and that's how you score touchdowns, Baldy, right? The Giants moved the ball plenty last week against the Cowboys, but you get touchdowns by getting explosive plays, and we've seen Daniel's progress with his pocket management, recognizing the blitzes, getting it out. His pocket presence, moving to avoid the rush. It's all been good. The short, the intermediate, the ball location was getting better. This felt like it was kind of the last step in the progression here as he works his way back.
Well, the good thing is they haven't forgotten about Darius. I remember talking to him when he was young. Remember the one year he had 8 touchdowns? I don't know if it was his first year or second year in the league, but he had 8. And I remember asking him, are you just faster than everybody else? Because he was constantly getting behind defenses. And he just said, hey, man, that's just Auburn speed. I don't know what that means. I guess everybody that goes to Auburn can flat out run. I know they've had their share of fast guys, but he still's got that speed to get behind guys. They went after Trey Brown. They didn't really go after, Tyquan. They didn't really go after Witherspoon. They went after Trey. That might have been a game plan situation.
Yeah, they eventually had to take Brown off the field, and they had Pritchett on him later in that game because they were going after Brown so much. And Wanda Robinson, a couple big catches, but another drop on a third down at the start of the second half. That's one thing, Baldy. They had another 3 or so drops in this game. They're going to have to clean those up because those things will come back and bite you in big spots.
I feel like they're concentration jobs, John. I know everybody drops a pass. It happens. I feel like these are concentration drops. You just got to really lock in. These games are, I was just in Cincinnati, Baltimore-Cincinnati shootout game, John.
It's a hell of a game, by the way. Oh, man.
It was a great game, but these games are coming down to a play. Aaron Rodgers misses. He misses Garrett Wilson on a go route against Stephon Gilmore. He catches it. They probably win the game. If I'm the receivers now and I'm in that room, you got to put the drops up there. You got to let them know, whether it's extra work on the jugs machine. These games are so tight. They can be decided by. The Cowboys game comes down to 4th and 4 last night. It comes down to a play right now, John.
Yeah, and I talked to Darius last week, and Baldy, he said they're putting that up there in the wide receiver room. They talked about it. They know that in the Washington game and Dallas games, 2 games decided by 1 score, last second games, they had key third down balls in those games that could have been the difference between a winner or a loss. So these guys know it. They just got to execute it in games now, which is the trick. Now, the other thing I'll point out with the offense before we jump over to the defense, Baldy, I think just resiliency, right? At the end of the first half in this game, well, I'll even go a little earlier. First quarter, first play for the offense, Daniel Jones gets his leg stepped on by Andrew Thomas, goes down. If he was contacted by the defense, it wouldn't even have been a fumble. But since he was contacted by his own guy, his elbow hits, the ball comes out, they recover, and all of a sudden they're in a 2nd and 25. If you've watched the Giants at all the past 7 years, if you're in a 2nd and 25, you're running a draw play, you're running a screen, and you're punting the football. Well, they turned the 2nd and 25 into a first down thanks to that screen pass on 3rd and 17. And you saw that resilience throughout the day from the offense, Baldy. They don't seem to let things bother them and they get down. They just keep coming back even when things go wrong.
I feel like Coach Dable, in the group right now, want to keep the foot on the pedal. They know how these games are. There's John. We've all watched way too many Giant games where on 3rd and 15 they're throwing 1 yard outs.
Yeah, correct.
And they just they're going out to punt it. They're not trying. The Seattle played on that screen. They played so deep, and you got to block down the field. I think it was Runyon, but I forget. Maybe it was John.
I think it was Schmitz. I think it was Schmitz. Yeah, I think it was Schmitz.
Maybe it was Schmitz on the play. But you got to block down there, and Gray, took off with it. You can't just pack it in. You have to. There's times when it's the clock, it's the right decision. Okay, it's better to punt. But sometimes early in the games, let's give it a go. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, and I think, and again, that's a screen, a little different situation, but you actually have confidence that you can protect enough that maybe you can take shots in those spots. And again, that comes down to the trenches in the offensive line. And Baldy, you go back to the offseason. That was the focus here, right? They signed 3 starters on the offensive line. And then on the defensive side of the ball, what do they use all their free agent capital on? Brian Burns. And you look at the stat leaders right now. You said this in one of your breakdowns too. Giants right now lead the NFL in sacks with 22. They are getting after the quarterback. Now, it's helped by the offense getting you lead so the defense can tee off a little bit. But we saw it on the other side. The one weakness Seattle had coming into this game offensively, weak offensive line. Stone Forsythe at right tackle has struggled. They played Brian Burns over Forsythe every snap in this game but one. They like the matchup. They got Dexter Lawrence one-on-one. You're seeing the Giants winning up front on defense now, especially rushing the passer, and that's paying dividends.
Well, not just that, but, they really won on 3rd down, John.
Yeah.
And so you look at Dexter Lawrence's first sack against Connor Williams. I mean, Shane puts a 5-man rush up there where they can't double Dexter. The center's got to deal with them. I haven't seen any center or guard because they all faced him in this game. Nobody can handle him one-on-one. He's just a brute force right now. He is the most dominant interior defensive lineman in this business right now. And it's Chris Jones, it's him. There's a couple guys in this business right now interiorly that if you don't get two sets of hands on him, he's going to make you look bad. And, there was rushes throughout the game. Davidson got himself a couple sacks and Kayvon got there and Brian got there. But you're getting the interior push and you're getting, the guy that's coming off the edge. And it's hard for Gino. Gino took a beating in that game. Yeah. He's pretty mobile. He's made a lot of plays outside the pocket. Had a hard time getting outside the pocket in this game.
Baldy, I got to be honest with you. I like Christian Haynes coming out a lot out of UConn. Good player. Poor kid. One-on-one with Dexter Lawrence. He basically put him on railroad tracks. He didn't have a chance on that play, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. He might have had one real good game against Tennessee. That might have gotten him drafted. But I thought he was a little stiff. And, look, I mean, Dexter's looking at these, he's looking at these scouting reports. He knows who's a rookie. He knows guys that can't handle him. And he's like, let me take him. I'll get him. And so you got to win your matchups, John. It's all matchups. You got to win your matchups. Dexter's doing what he's supposed to do. I think he's got 6 sacks right now.
Yep.
He's on pace to rip this thing apart, the way he's starting. And it's helped. It's helped that Brian's out there. And Brian is such a good player. He's a true linebacker. He does a lot of different things. He's taking the shots from the tight ends coming off and trying to slow him down. But he's an extremely fast twitch athlete. Always was coming out of college. So, so I feel like they're getting the front did their job, but you can't look at that defense and not look at how the secondary played. Their best game by far of the season.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New You moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Are you a morning person? Or when you roll out of bed, do you literally roll out of bed? Listen, mornings can be hard to handle. From the moment you open your eyes, your responsibilities and to-dos start piling up in your head. But you know what helps? Yep, a shower. But not just any shower, a shower with Irish Spring. Yeah, as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. Oh, yeah. All those to-dos are totally doable. Because that crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from that glorious shower, 37 minutes later, because let's be honest, you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want. You're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Look for Irish Spring in the soap aisle at Walmart.
The Giants Huddle podcast is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens will donate $750 to the Giants Foundation for each scoring drive during the 2024 season. Learn more at citizensbank.com/Giants. Yeah, no question. I want to get to them in a second. I want to talk about one play first, though. The Brian Burns 4th-and-1 stop, where I think we all thought Seattle was going to either sneak it or run it. We could talk about why Seattle only handed it to Kenneth Walker the third 5 times. Thank you very much. Don't know why you did it, but I appreciate your assistance. Great play by Burns. I want to highlight Tyler Nubin, though, too. He did a great job getting out in the flat against Kenneth Walker the third on that play to prevent that very easy pass. That's what they were trying to set up, but the rookie recognized it and shut that down.
Well, I mean, he really showed up in this game. I mean, Tyler was all over the field. We'll get to him, but that play right there, I mean, if anybody ever watches any games of Kenneth Walker, the guy has incredible balance. The guy breaks an enormous amount of tackles.
Yeah.
Like that guy is hard to get to the ground. He was at Michigan State. He is in this league and he's healthy. He's missed a game, but he was healthy. And you're probably fortunate that they didn't feed him more than they did, but they never let him get started and they went away from him.
They really did. And I thought Nubin made a really nice play on that. All right. You mentioned the secondary, Baldy. What impressed you the most about what the Giants did in the back end?
If I know you watched, but like the game plan was to go after Deontay Banks with DK. I mean, the first 3 of the first 5 plays are right at Banks, and he stood in there. Some of it was man, some was zone, but his break on the ball was why he got drafted out of Maryland, where he did. Like he's got elite foot quickness. He trusts his eyes, and that's a receiver that changes the game. He just changes the game, and I just thought he was all over him. He got a couple plays, but for the most part, they didn't get anything down the field. I thought Deontay played. First of all, he defended a couple of passes against him, but I thought he played a really solid game. Nubin on the back end, like the whole group played well. And really, I mean, that's Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. You could put those 3 up against anybody in this league. Nobody hurt him on Sunday.
Yeah, and Banks had the punch out, too, on the play to force that big turnover in the third quarter.
No
the
question.
Giants go 3 and out to start the second half. After you dominate the first half, it's 10-10. You outgain them 220 yards to 90. You triple their first downs. It's tie game at 10. You're like, oh, no, you just wasted a dominating half. Then you go 3 and out. First play for Seattle on their first drive of the second half is the chunk play to Lockett right into the cover 2 hole. Great throw from Geno to Lockett in that spot. And then they get the punch out, and that swapped all the momentum back the other way again.
Yeah, they got the ball back, and they were driving. They're going to they're in scoring position at that point, and you get the punch out, and Nubin, he's on the spot right there. He gets his first fumble recovery. It's what you want. You want a contact point. You want somebody's you want to secure the tackle. You want somebody going for the ball, and that's you talk about it, you work it. It's hard to really practice it. But, you put as many examples up there as you can in the film. You start getting guys believing it, thinking about it, and they executed it.
No question about it. And now big picture, Baldy, unless there's anything else you want to touch on in this game before I touch some big picture stuff for you, or you think you got everything?
Well, I mean, just the punt block. I mean, just the extra, the field goal block at the end was, a play that it's a brilliant play. Isaiah Simmons in the A gap right there coming over that Jason Myers is a great kicker. That's a 47-yarder. I don't know if it's a chip shot or not, we don't know.
It's going in.
We're never going to know.
It's going in.
I mean, it's an extra point for him. So, to make that play in that spot, I didn't know who Ford Wheaton, like Bryce Ford Wheaton was really at the time, John. I apologize. But, we know who he is now, and that's how you get known. You pick that up on a one hopper and take it to the house. And I mean, you're celebrating on the sidelines with less than a minute to go.
You know, it's funny. He actually beat out Miles Boykin for that last wide receiver spot as a primary special teams player. So
Yeah,
he was very happy to have that pay off for him getting on the field there. Just big picture NFC ball. Do you look at the conference? There are only 3 teams in the conference with fewer than 2 losses. The Giants are 2-3. And one of those teams with 1 loss is the Lions, who had a bye week this week. This is a wide open conference right now.
Yeah, nobody, outside of what Minnesota is doing, I mean, really nobody's in Detroit's a solid team. But, we've already seen the Giants can play with the Cowboys. The Giants can play with the Commanders. They can beat those teams. They got to make the plays like they made yesterday to beat them. But there's nobody that much better. And the way I feel like the Giants offensive line right now and the Giants defensive line, they put a lot of resources into both those groups. It's been a while now, John, since you could say the Giants are winning in the trenches. It's been a while. I feel like they're winning in the trenches. The other guys, Malik will be back, Devin will be back. I mean, guys, but the fact that they overcame those losses and a rookie steps up and Daniel Jones plays another solid game and he gets the deep shots, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. But the Giants can play in this conference. They can play and they can win in this conference. And I'm sure Brian spent a whole lot of time in the locker room on the way home enjoying it. But I'm sure that's the message, all week here. Like, this is what it's going to take, and we need even more,
And they try to get their first home win this week. And Baldy, you just said you did the Cincinnati game this week. Give Giant fans a little scouting report on what's coming to the Meadowlands here on Sunday Night Football, Giants and Bengals.
Well, they're probably going to see the best quarterback in the league in Joe Burrow. I mean,
wow.
He's put up 34, 33, 34, and whatever they scored yesterday, 38. They're putting up big 30 numbers. I asked him before the game, I said, what's it going to take today, Joe? And he said, I got to be perfect. And I go, perfect. He goes, not like 25 for 25 perfect. He goes, we got to maximize our possessions. I feel like we got to score in every possession. That's their mentality. Now, they had every chance in the world to win that game. They should be 2-3 as well. But they're 1-4, and they haven't won a home game. They're 0-3 at home. Maybe and the home crowd was unbelievable. That offense is scary good. The line's playing really well. They got a rookie right tackle who's played well. Jamar, T, Iosovich, everybody contributes. And Joe is just an assassin right now. He's an assassin. You got to figure out ways to take possessions away from him, John.
And he gets rid of the ball so quick, it's going to be hard for your passers to affect him, right?
No doubt. That's just going back to LSU winning national championship. I don't think anybody goes through progressions faster than Joe.
But on the other side of it, their defense, Baldy, if Trey Hendrickson's not making a play, I'm not sure who else is, to be honest with you.
They've got a lot of they're very suspect. They broke down a bunch in coverage. They don't really have another pass rusher opposite. They had some reinforcements. Miles Murphy came in. B.J. Hill got back. They got a little bit better up front. But honestly, they've struggled. I mean, Washington scored in every single possession against them, at home. New England won their only game against them. Like, Lou Anarumo's a good defensive coordinator.
He is. They
could not stop the Ravens yesterday.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It could be a fun, high-scoring affair on Sunday night here in the Meadowlands. Baldy, this was great, man. Check out Baldy's breakdowns. It's on the Giant YouTube channel, the Giant Twitter feed. Check them all out. Baldy, anything else you want the fans to check out that you're up to, man? I'm just doing all the breakdowns on Monday. I did the game. I do the national games. I'll be this weekend in Philadelphia, Cleveland and Philadelphia for Compass Media. NFL Network, I'll be on all week talking about this stuff. You can find me on all the social media stuff. Like I'm putting stuff out there every single day right now. Baldy, you're the best, man. Always fun talking to you, my friend. Thanks, John. Appreciate you. Baldy Breakdown edition of the Giants Huddle podcast brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. We'll see you next time, everybody.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.